Hello everyone, and welcome back to NovaLogos Audio English. In our last chapter, we examined the astuteness, rich fool, who tried to store his soul in a barn. Today, we encounter a character who is the polar opposite. He is not a fool, but he is certainly not a saint either. We are exploring the parable of the unjust steward. This is often considered one of the most difficult and controversial parables in the Gospels. Why would Jesus praise a man who is dishonest? As we will see, Jesus is not praising the man's morality, but his astuteness, his ability to look ahead and use the resources he has today to secure a place for tomorrow. It teaches us how to be shrewd with the things of this world to gain the things of the next. Let's dive into the language of management, debt, and eternal investment. Section 1. The Narrative of the Shrewd Manager. Let's listen to the narrative from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 16, verses 1 through 9. Pay close attention to how the steward reacts when he realizes his time is running out. Jesus said to his disciples, "A rich man had a steward who was reported to him for squandering his property. He summoned him and said, 'What is this I hear about you? Prepare a full account of your stewardship, for you can no longer be my steward.' The steward said to himself, 'What shall I do now that my master is taking the responsibility of steward away from me? I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I know what I shall do so that, when I am removed from the stewardship, they may welcome me into their homes.' He called in his master's debtors one by one. To the first he said, 'How much do you owe my master?' He replied, 100 measures of olive oil. He said to him, 'Here is your promissory note. Sit down and quickly write one for 50. Then to another he said, 'And you, how much do you owe?' He replied, 100 cores of wheat. He said to him, 'Here is your promissory note. Write one for 80. And the master commended that dishonest steward because he had acted shrewdly. For the children of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than are the children of light. I tell you, make friends for yourselves with dishonest wealth, so that when it fails they may welcome you into eternal dwellings.'" Section 2. Vocabulary Deep Dive. Accountability and shrewdness. The vocabulary in this chapter deals with financial crisis and strategic thinking. First, the verb squandering. To squander means to waste something, especially money or time, in a reckless or foolish manner. The steward wasn't just losing money, he was squandering his master's property. In a spiritual sense, we must ask, are we squandering the life and talents God has given us? Second, the phrase, full account. To give a full account means to provide a complete report or justification of one's actions. It is a moment of total transparency. In English we say, hold someone accountable, which means making them responsible for their actions. Third, the word shrewdly. This is the key word of the parable. To be shrewd means to have or show sharp powers of judgment. It is often used for business people who are clever and practical. The master commended him not for being dishonest, but for acting shrewdly. He used his brain to solve a desperate problem. Fourth, the term promissory note. This is a signed document containing a written promise to pay a stated sum. By reducing the debts on these notes, the steward was essentially buying friends who would help him later. Finally, the phrase, eternal dwellings. This refers to our final home with God. Jesus contrasts the astuteness of the debtors with the dishonest dwellings of eternity. Section 3. Symbolic Wisdom. Crisis as Opportunity. Let's explore the deeper logic behind this challenging story through 3 insights. First, consider the reality of the deadline. Like the steward, we have all been told, prepare an account, for you can no longer be steward. Whether it is a job, a relationship, or life itself, our time is limited. The steward's greatness, if we can call it that, was his immediate realization that his current status was ending. He didn't waste time in denial. He accepted the crisis and began to plan for the afterwards. Second, look at the shrewd use of dishonest wealth. Jesus uses a shocking phrase, make friends for yourselves with dishonest wealth. In the biblical context, all worldly wealth is seen as potentially dishonest because it is temporary and often leads to greed. However, Jesus suggests that we should use this temporary wealth to do good, to help the poor and serve others. By doing so, we exchange temporary currency for eternal relationships. We turn money into mercy. Finally, notice the comparison between the children of the world and children of light. Jesus observes that worldly people are often more creative and hardworking in securing their financial future than believers are in securing their spiritual future. He is challenging us. Why don't you use the same energy, intelligence, and urgency you use for your career or your finances for the kingdom of God? Section 4. Advanced Language Pattern. I am not enough to, and I am to. The steward says a very honest and structured sentence. I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. This is a great pattern to describe your limitations or why you are making a specific choice. I am not confident enough to lead, and I am too busy to learn. He was not fast enough to win, but he was too proud to quit. I am not experienced enough to do this alone, and I am too honest to lie about it. Notice how this structure balances 2 different reasons to explain a final decision. It makes your English sound logical and self-aware. Section 5. Practical Application. Shrewdness in Discipleship. How do we apply the Unjust Steward to our life and our study of English? First, be a shrewd learner. Don't just study English for the sake of studying. Think ahead. How can you use this language to serve others, to share the gospel, or to build bridges in your community? Use your linguistic wealth to make eternal friends. Second, act with urgency. The steward acted quickly because he knew his time was short. Don't wait for a perfect time to use your talents. If you have an opportunity to do good today, take it. The quick account can be called at any moment. Third, invest in people, not just things. The steward realized that when his job was gone, only relationships would save him. In your life, prioritize people over property. Use your resources to help those in need, for they are the ones who will welcome you into eternal dwellings. Consolidation and review. Deepening your understanding. Let's review the key phrases that teach us the wisdom of the shrewd steward. Squandering his property. A warning against wasting the gifts we have been given. To squander is to fail in our responsibility as stewards of God's grace. Prepare a full account of your stewardship. The reminder of accountability. Everything we have is on loan, and one day we must show how we used it. The master commended the dishonest steward. This is the most shocking part. The master commended, praised, the shrewdness, not the dishonesty. It tells us that intelligence used for the right end is a virtue, more shrewd in dealing with their own generation. A critique of the children of light. We are encouraged to be as creative and dedicated in our faith as the world is in its business. Make friends for yourselves with dishonest wealth. A call to radical generosity. Use your money and resources to serve others, so that those acts of love become your friends in eternity. When it fails, a reminder that all worldly wealth will fail eventually. Money cannot follow us past the grave, but the love we showed with it can. I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. A moment of radical honesty about one's own weakness. It is from this honesty that the steward's new strategy was born. Thank you for joining us for Chapter 14. Today, we learned that while we cannot take our wealth with us, we can send it ahead by using it for others. Let us be as shrewd and urgent in our spiritual lives as we are in our worldly affairs. If this difficult parable gave you a new perspective on your resources, please like and subscribe. In Chapter 15, we will conclude Part 3 with the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector, exploring the humble heart that makes our prayers reach the ears of God. Until then, use your wealth wisely. Goodbye.